Okay.
Basically, I like talk about how my family in the States, I'm like very clear on who like my aunt and my uncle are, and I'm still dispersed in the States. But like in Italy, I'd go back and like everyone's my family, and we're all close to each other. Like,
but you're also close to your American family, right? Is that what you
said? Yeah, I am close to my American family, but we just like it's like a different closeness.
If there's not like separations between like your uncle's, that sort of thing. Everybody's just sort of the same level of.
Yeah, family. It doesn't matter like who, because like my mom's an only child, is figlia unica, and I'm an only child, so. And we're from the north, so that's not as weird. And like southern families are a lot bigger, like the classic like Italian family. But like the Italian like nuclear family isn't as important as like the whole family. Like everyone's important in the family. That's what I was going for.
That's good. That's like a nice. This is something you would like think of, but it.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I talk a lot about like with my friends and with other people about. Like having my Italian family, but I also have like a very like open-minded, like both my parents are super open-minded and like flexible and like adaptable to each other's like cultures and ideas. So yeah, I think that makes a difference. Other questions about family? I don't know.
Like, what were you saying about how it's like affected your like philosophy on like the family? Like, what were you saying about how like?
Oh, my idea of the family, kind of.
Like that's different than if you didn't have. You were Italian as well.
I guess I could go with the whole idea that like I'm closer to my family and like, I don't know, like.
Do you feel, we were talking about in my sociology class that like, well we didn't talk about Italy, but we were talking about like Asian countries versus the United States, like people feel much more, like there's like, the like filial piety they call it, or like you like feel like you have to take care of your parents when they get older. So like we're talking about like adulthood and aging.
Yeah, that's
so,
a
like,
huge difference. In Italy, like you don't put people in like
nursing homes or like
it's not a thing.
It's like a very different like caregiver like philosophy. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons my mom goes back to Italy so much, because my grandma is really sick, so she goes back to like. My parents also have very flexible work schedules, so they're able to do work wherever they are, so they can go back. So that's like definitely aided to my being able to be in Italy, because most people can't take a month vacation, and my parents can leave for a month because they can do work in Italy.
Does your mom have dual citizenship?
Mm-hmm. I do too.
You do too?
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Does Italy do like bloodline or where you're born for citizenship, or both?
Bloodline.
Okay.
I don't know if they do where you're born. I'm assuming if you're
like if you're born in Italy,
then you're a citizen. I've always been a citizen, but I just got my passport like 2 years ago. Not that I use an Italian passport, because the American like customs. I mean, I would never go through with an Italian passport. I always go through with an American passport. But it's really funny. I like went through the Italian line once, and they like got mad at me. They're like, "Why aren't you using your Italian passport?" This is the one I have. Nope. But I have both. My dad actually also has Italian citizenship, and that's through my mom, through marriage. So you can also get it that way. It's a lot easier because he works. He shows that he's not going to be dependent on the Italian government, so they'll give him a citizenship.
Huh.
Yeah, that's what he had to show. He just had to show that like he got paid by someone else. And they're like, all right, cool. You can have a citizenship.
We could just go right into like that.
We can talk about. I can talk about like. I mean, I don't know what your families are like, but like from like looking at my friends' families at home, like I've noticed, like I eat a lot more meals with my parents. My meals are a lot longer. That's definitely like an Italian culture aspect that I see in the States.
Yeah,
that could be a nice segue.
Yeah.
So if you want to ask like how that's influenced, I can also. I don't know if you want me to not talk about how my American culture's influenced my Italian side. Like, I kind of did. I talked about going to. That was another thing I said. I talked about going to school far away from my parents. That's like a really big deal.
Well, I missed that then.
So I talked about.
Yeah, I'm recording all of like the English explanation here too.
Yeah, so I talked about going to school at Duke instead of near home.
Okay.
And that's a really big deal for my grandma, especially, but for all of my family in Italy. They don't understand why I would ever go to a school that's 2 plane rides and a whole day away. That's what I was saying, so you know. And they like don't understand why I wouldn't go to school to like UCLA or like any other school in California. and they just don't understand. So it's very weird that I'm going to school as like an 18-year-old. I'm leaving home, and I'm going far away. And so that's like a huge thing. And like I would never think to do university like they do in Italy. Like I don't want that. I want the college experience, and that's completely different than the university experience. I want like the flexibility to know what I want to do with my life and not have to choose as like a 15-year-old before I go to high school or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so like I very, very strongly feel like the college system is a lot better here. And so like not only explaining it to my grandma, like we used to tell her that it was like 3 hours away from home. It's not. Like even like family friends who are like in their 40s or 50s like don't get it. Like people my age get it.
Mm-hmm.
But then like so that's what I talked about.
How come more Italians don't come to the United States for college then, do you think?
I was talking about it with someone who I know here who's Italian, and like it's a very different culture. I mean, there's a lot more like restrictions once you're in college, once you're in Italy. If you go to university and you're not living at home, you are your own person, you have your own life, like you go to an apartment or whatever. Like there's a lot more like regulations, and I think it's a lot harder to get into a college here if you're in high school in Italy. So like you'd have to be doing all of the work yourself. Like you would have to be doing your SATs and taking all the standardized tests. Like it's hard to get in like U.S. schools from international schools, and like a lot of people don't mind the university environment. Like once you've done 3 years, you get your master's and you can already get a job. Like it's different than like the States, and like the way Italy does it is the way most every other country in the world does it, except for the United States. So we're just different.
Do we want to put that in? We can talk about like being a student in Italy versus here.
Well, can we have English say, or does it have to be in Italian?
If we film her in English, we have to put subtitles in Italian.
Oh God, that sounds awful.
Which is why it's so much better if you just speak Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do subtitles.
All this is good though. We should
all this is really good.
Okay.
Let's record you just like saying this stuff, and then we can put it together. However.
Yeah.
Do you want me to
I'll
say this in Italian?
Yeah, but I'll ask
because the
you
other thing is I can always voice over you asking
a question. Good point.
So
do you want to just, I can talk about that's kind of like my opinions on my favorite parts of the two cultures, why I like being Italian and American. Like and then I can proceed to talk about college and university.
Great. One of the questions I've written down was what's the difference between Italian culture and American culture, and you can take that as just like as a student.
Okay.
Perfect. Is it still recording?
yeah,
Everything's
been
been
like
recorded.
it's like one big long thing.
Okay.
Let me cut for a second. Did you get all that?
Explain it.
Yeah. I basically what I was saying. Sorry, went on for a tangent about how. Okay, so basically, kids are seen differently in an Italian culture and an American culture. I noticed a lot that like my parents brought me to everything that they did, and I never had a bedtime, and I would always go to dinner, even if it was like 9 p.m. in a fancy restaurant. They would always bring me.
Sounds awesome.
Weddings, like anything, any event. Like kids are always welcome in Italy. You would never see on an invitation, or at least in my experience, you would never see like no kids. Like when I saw that and. That happens all the time in the States. It's super normal. I was always like, they don't want me? Why not? What did I do wrong? But like, it's just like a different culture. Like you just bring your kids with you. You bring them to dinner. Like you always see kids at dinner late. Like it doesn't matter. Like one of my favorite things is in Italy we'll be there. We'll go out somewhere like a Saturday night and it'll be, lo dico in italiano. Siamo una sabato sera nell'estate e andiamo al mare. E tutta la famiglia lì, vedi i genitori, vedi i nonni, vedi i bambini di 3 anni, non importa che è mezzanotte, che è tardi, che è un giovedì, un venerdì sera, però ci sono sempre tutti. E normalmente non si vede così tanto negli Stati Uniti, i bambini vanno a letto prima e non si vedono. So, basically kids are everywhere. Okay, I can talk about college. College differences and university differences?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Do that for a little bit, and then we'll go back to
Italian American?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sounds good.
Wait, can you ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Just so I have the audio for it.
Yeah.
You want to say?
Sono le differenze della educazione? Is that
Educazione.
Educazione italiana americana. Okay. Like how it's obvious, like when you start talking about college in Italy.
Yeah, okay. I was saying, so in the States, people know I'm Italian because of my name.
Right.
So that's the only reason that like that comes up as like a first topic of conversation. But otherwise, like the other thing I was saying was that when I'm in the States or when I'm in Italy, like, I just change the way I do things. So I change what I say, I change how I act, I change how I act towards certain people, because I just know, and it's not like something I can pinpoint, I just know that I act differently when I'm there or when I'm here.
Is it that you interact with different people and you know how you interact with like that person, or like even if you're with the same person you might interact with them differently?
Well, I think it's just like a matter of how you interact with people. So like, I'm thinking like, here you do a lot of small talk and like, hi, how are you? And like, I wouldn't go in Italy and be like, hi, how are you? Like, that's not the first thing I would say in Italy. I'd be like, you know what I mean? Like, if I don't know someone, you just say hi. Like, it's just like, but that's not something I think about when I'm there. Like, it's just something that, like, I fall into being more Italian, and I fall into being more American here. Like, it's pretty easy to say. Like, I would say if, like, people asked, like, my friends, does she seem American or Italian? Like, I'm pretty American. Like, I do a lot of American things. I just have, like, small things I do that make me more Italian. But if that makes sense. Yeah. So what I was saying was, like, when I'm in Italy, like, I fall into, like, the practices and the norms of the Italian culture. And the only time people know I'm an American is when I start speaking about college and school, because then I can't, like, lie and be like, I'm in a university, because I'm out of college. But, like, before then, people don't know. The first thing that people ask me when I'm there is what region of Italy I'm from, because, like, the differences are based on regions. Like, the differences in my accent is because I'm from Romagna. That's why I sound like that. So, yeah. That's what I talked about, I think. Yeah, I talked about people in Italy don't think I look Italian, apparently. I don't know what that means.
It confused me, though, because, like, you look so different from different regions of Italy, too. Like,
yeah.
Like, my grandfather's father was from, like, southern Italy.
Yeah, it's much darker skin tone and, like, darker hair. Like, my mom looks a lot more Italian. She's really Italian.
I'm just trying to think of, like, an easy question that we can end with. Like, do you think
that's actually, if you want to see what my parents look like.
That's a cute picture.
Yeah, family weekend.
See, okay, if I saw that photo, I would not say, like, they look very Italian.
Yeah.
Your mom don't look very Italian. But, like, I also think of that as from southern Italy, I guess.
No, it's weird. Like, people have, like, really interesting ideas. I actually kind of want to ask people now what they think.
Just so what ethnicity do you think people are?
Is there anything else? If there's anything else you think of,